Hi everyone, in this video I want to show you a game between Viswanathan Anand and Wesley So. The game was played in 2017 London Chess Classic round 9. Before this round Wesley had 8 draws. Let's see the game. White starts with e4, placing a pawn in the center, controlling d5 and f5 squares, and also allowing the light square bishop and the queen to develop. Black replies with e5, the most played move in this position, controlling d4 and f4 squares, allowing the dark square bishop and the queen to develop. Knight to f3, a developing move, attacking e5, and black defends the pawn with knight to c6. Next, white developed his light square bishop to c4, and black replied with bishop to c5, entering the Italian game. Short castle, white king is safe, and knight to f6, another developing move, preparing short castle. d3, protecting e4 pawn and allowing the dark square bishop to develop. Black king is safe, and a4, a multi-purpose move, expanding on the queen side, controlling b5, and also allowing the dark square bishop to retreat to a2. Also a5, a6 can be pushed by white, creating some weaknesses on the queen side. h6, black prevents bishop to b5, pinning the knight, and white continues with c3. Controls b4 and d4 and prepares to play d4 or b4. Before pushing d4, white needs to protect the e4 pawn by playing rook to e1. a5, black prevents a5 from white and allows his dark square bishop to retreat to a7. Knight bt2, the knight will be deployed to e3 or g3 via f1. And in the future it might jump to f5 or d5 squares. d6, allowing the dark square bishop to develop, and h3, preventing bishop to g4, pinning the knight. Bishop to e6, the bishop is developed and attacks the light square bishop. When we have a contact between pieces, it's best not to trade. If white takes on e6, black recapture with the pawn and f-file is open for black, and also the pawn from e6 controls d5 and f5 squares. So by releasing the tension, white did a favor to black. That's why in the game, after bishop to e6, white played rook to e1. The rook is placed on a more active square, defending e4. And black took on c4, and white recaptured with the knight. So releasing the tension between the bishops helped white to put his knight on a better position. Rook to e8 and bishop to e3. White developed his last minor piece, attacking the bishop, and black took. White recaptured with the knight, looking at the d5 and f5 squares. Taking on e3 with the pawn doesn't make any sense now, because the rook is no longer on the f-file. And also the knight from c4 had nothing to attack. So here the knight stands better. Black continue with queen to d7. As we can see, black finished his opening, his king is safe, the rooks are connected by moving the queen, and all the other minor pieces are developed. Same thing for white, and the queen looks at the pawn from b7. Black continues with knight to d7, redeploying the knight to g3. And white continue with knight to c4. And in this position, white cannot take on b7 because after rook f to b8, the queen is lost. That's why in the game, white continue with knight to c4. Another way for white to continue was to play knight to h4 and knight to f5. And black played knight to g6. Black brought his knight on the king side, and white brought his other rook to the d-file. The rook is on the same file with black queen. Black continued with b6. The b7 weakness was pushed to b6, protecting a5, and we can see that c7 is a weak pawn now, but for the moment white cannot take advantage of it. Also the white queen has no target, so in the game white put his queen to c2, and black continued with d5, striking in the center, and white took with the pawn, and black recaptured with the queen. b3 from white, protecting the pawn and the knight, and rook a d8. The last piece comes into the game, and white pushed d4. Black took, and white recaptured with the rook attacking the queen. And here black plays an intermediate move, taking the rook from e1 with check. After knight takes on e1, the black queen has to go back to a8, defending the rook from d8. So queen to a8, and rook takes on d8, exchanging the rooks, and black recaptured. As we can see, we have a queen endgame and two knights for each part. And also both players have equal pawns, equal number of pawns on each side of the board. 3 on the queen side and 3 on the king side. Queen to d3, white wants to exchange queens, but black refuses and attacks the knight from e1. So knight to c2 and knight to f4, attacking the queen. Queen to d2 and knight 6 to d5, looking at the weak pawn from c3. Also, the diagonal for the queen is open to come to g5 and threatening mate on g2. White continue with king to f1. The king comes towards the center and controls the e1 square. White threatens to play g3, attacking the knight, and then take the other knight from d5. In this position, black, so that he can win a pawn, and played knight takes on c3. And if the queen takes the knight, then black can give a check with queen to e2, king to g1, queen to d1 check, queen to e1, and black captures his knight back and his pawn up in this position. Instead of blocking the check with the queen, white had another option to move the king with king to h2, knight to e2, threatening mate on g1, and here white loses the knight after queen to e1, queen takes on c2. And in the game, as we know, white played knight 4 to e3. White accepts the pawn loss. A better way for white was to take on b6, recovering the pawn. So after knight takes on b6, c takes on b6, black has to take back, and white recovers his knight, and there are two pawns on the queen side for each player. Also, the line with the queen check is not working anymore. So after queen to e2 check, king to g1, queen to e4, threatening mate on g2, queen to c8 check, king to h7, knight to e3, knight to e2 check, king to f1. So, knight 4 to e3 in the game. After this move, black continued with knight to e4, attacking the queen. And white played queen to d4 and c5, attacking the queen. Queen to d1 and queen to f6. The knight from f4 threatens a discovery, and the queen can deliver mate on f2, helped by the knight. So knight to g4 attacking the queen, and the queen goes to c3 attacking the weak pawn from b3. Knight c2 e3, the queen protects the pawn, and h5 kicking the knight from this position, and the knight goes to h2 and queen to b2. Black is threatening mate on f2 and also the pawn from b3. And in this position white resigned. I hope that you learned something from this game. Please watch other games for my channel, and if you like this video clip, click the like button and subscribe. See you soon. Bye.